Hello, lovely people. This is Nicole.
And this is Samantha.
With the power of we are here to switch it up and teach you about business, relationships, and how to not only survive, but make it in Los Angeles.
In each episode, we will have top influential guests from the world of real estate. We work hard,
We stage hard.
and we get it done.
The power of we.
And we're back. Hi.
Hello, how are you?
This is going to be an emotional. It's going to be an emotional one for me.
Okay.
Why do you think? This is crazy. So first of all, we've been doing this podcast for almost 5 years. Can you believe that?
Has it really been that long?
Yes, it's crazy.
been 5
Don't age
years?
me.
Holy
And this is our last one at this beautiful studio.
No.
And we are so grateful for Tony. He has been amazing.
Yes, so incredible.
So cool. We do these podcasts to really get out to you guys about life, about our experiences, and about what it is to be a family. And it's so important that, we get that out, because family in the end is really what's important, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, family gets you through everything.
Even when they drive you crazy?
Yeah, of course.
So I thought it would be apropos that our last guest is someone extremely special. So I'm going to talk about her a little bit. She came into my life when I was 12 years old, and she was the most incredible human, but she was very detail oriented. She was kept my father on track, and I really didn't know who this girl was. So when you have step parents, you don't know who they are, but she changed my life. So let's talk about her a little bit. On today's episode, we are honored to sit down with Harriet K. Smith. She's an entrepreneur way back when, a wife, a mom, a proud grandmother, educator, and a fearless force on the forefront of fashion. This is very important. She wore many hats, and each one of them has shaped a powerful story of her life, her leadership, her love, and her legacy.
This podcast is your go-to space for real connections about building both business and family, balancing bold dreams with everyday life, and showing up powerfully at every stage of womanhood. Whether you're turning in on your morning drive, taking a coffee break, or chasing little ones around the house, you're in the right place.
So, welcome
to the
Mima!
power of
Yay!
It
my
is
God.
wonderful to be here, and I am so proud to be here with my daughter and my granddaughter. It's just fabulous. The only thing that would make it better is if my grandson were here, too.
Yes. We are definitely a family of four, don't you think?
Yes, definitely.
I mean, we just came back from a week-long trip in Europe, and let me explain something to you. This beautiful woman walked 12,000 steps a day. She was doing better than me.
Yeah, I was like chasing behind her.
Yeah. So it's really, people ask me all the time, like, your mom is she has the best attitude. She looks beautiful. She doesn't seem her age. Like, this is always what they ask me. What is your secret, please?
Genes.
Okay, that's true, but...
Well, the genes help. My mother lived to be almost 100 and completely healthy.
And ate a lot.
Yeah. And my sister will be 88, and she's still walking her 3 miles every day and playing bridge and going into the city and so on. And lots of great female genes. And luck has a lot to do with it. And then attitude and friends. Friends are everything. Since I lost my husband, my social life has revolved around all of my friends and family, of course, but friends and doing things and getting out of the house and going here and going there. And I did a lot of it when I was married, but now everything revolves around family and friends.
That's for sure. I can never get a hold of her. She's always like, I'm at
always
lunch.
busy.
I'm at the Getty. I'm here. I'm like,
I'm shopping.
Nicole,
I'm at the spa.
Nicole, can you fit her in for lunch? It's absolutely crazy. And I mean, and here's another thing. There's so many questions we have.
Yeah.
But one of the main questions someone just asked me is, did she have a facelift?
Nope.
I was like, I don't think so. So now facelifts, Kris Jenner, it's the hottest thing, and you are absolutely beautiful. But you know what you used to always tell me? How would you wash your face?
With Neutrogena.
That's it. And a
That's
lotion.
the trick.
It's
And that
seriously
brush,
crazy.
that brush,
yeah, the brush. The brush.
brush.
You always
The
brought me the brush.
Complexion brush.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But, it's so important because, nowadays you were an entrepreneur. Back then you were a teacher. You helped teachers, change their life when they were in trouble. I mean, explain what you did.
Well, I started out in the Bedford-Stuyvesant district of Brooklyn, straight out of college as a teacher. And I was there for a few years, spent a summer in Los Angeles, and decided this is for me. So I
And what
moved-
year was that?
1968.
That's the year I was born.
Yeah. And I moved out here, and within a month I had an apartment, I had a job, and I was set. And I was a teacher. Then I became a special education teacher, then a special ed advisor. So I worked out of one of the district offices at LAUSD. And then I kept varying everything. Then I went back into the classroom, and then I became a consultant, and then I went
Right.
back into the classroom, and then I became an assistant principal, and then I became acting principal, and I decided this was not the life for me. It was just all consuming. I needed time to go home and to work out and to be with my family and everything. So I went back into the classroom. And I did that for many years, becoming a master teacher, a mentor teacher, and everything else.
Yeah. And how was it? What would you say was different teaching when you first started in the 60s?
Yeah.
To 10 years ago or 15 years ago when you were slowing down?
Well, I did retire almost 20 years ago.
Wow.
And teaching got tougher. I started out in New York, and I think it was more of a camaraderie group of people. It was a little different in Los Angeles, but I taught in some tough schools, but the kids were always great, and I made some lifelong friends along the faculty. And then when I started getting a little bit bored, I said, this is no good. So I retired. And that lasted a little less than a year. And I went back to LAUSD part-time, but
Right.
this time working with teachers. And that was a whole different
And I don't
thing.
think that there's a lot of people that do that anymore. I mean, do they have a lot of...
I'm not quite sure because I did it up until the pandemic.
Yeah.
And that sort of changed
Right.
everything. And at that point, everything was going remote. And we were learning not only new techniques for ourselves, but new techniques to teach the teachers. And I wasn't getting any satisfaction from sitting in front of the computer.
Right.
Part of the job that I loved was getting up, getting dressed,
Right.
getting out, and being with people.
Yeah.
And just going into the next room on the computer didn't do it. So I re-retired. And I have been busier now
Then when you
than
were
when I
working.
was working. And it's great. I had a fabulous career. And I think back, I touched a lot of lives, children, parents, teachers. And it was very, very fulfilling. And it was a great career, and it gave me a very good retirement, too.
That's
that's
true.
amazing.
That's great. That's amazing. Let's get to your personal side.
And how many places have you traveled to? Because I know you
Yeah.
traveled a lot, you and Papa.
Well, when I was younger, basically the only places I traveled with friends were around the United States and to Puerto Rico, because if you lived in New York, you went to Puerto Rico all the time. And, Florida and California and Massachusetts. But when I met my husband, we both loved to travel, and we said, let's travel while we can. And as a teacher, well, first I was an AP, but then a principal and teacher, I had time off. And our first trip, our sort of honeymoon trip, was to England, London, and the countryside. And then we pretty much took a big trip at least once a year. And we went to Italy a number of times, and we went to Israel and Egypt. And when I retired, we went to China.
I remember.
And in between, I don't know, we were in France, we were in England again, we were on cruises. We just, we even took one of those 8 countries in 8-day tours. One Christmas, we decided about a week before, we found this store. I don't remember how many countries we were in, but the greatest thing that I remember about that whole tour was that we were the only Americans.
Yeah,
People
that's
were from
great.
all over the
That's
world,
great.
and the language barrier was not a problem, and we just had such a fantastic
So
time.
now that you're in your 80s, what would you say to our listeners out there? What is the best thing about travel?
It just opens you up. It's something completely new. It's exciting. It expands
It's new
your life.
experiences.
It's fun.
Right? It's so important to
It's
have new
fun
experiences.
and new things and meeting the people. And
Meeting people's like my top.
Yeah,
I mean,
just,
what about you, Nicole?
Yeah. Meeting people. I have a question, though. So what's one thing you would tell yourself if you were in your early 20s right now?
What would I tell myself? I don't know. Don't be afraid of moving to Los Angeles. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
And maybe be a little bit nicer to my parents. I wasn't always so nice because I didn't have any patience with them because they were old. And don't be afraid. I made
Don't
that
be
decision
afraid.
to move to LA, and don't be afraid to get out there and meet people and do things. And there was always a fallback. I had family in New York. I
Right.
knew if things didn't work out, I could
go
always
back.
go back home. And I never did, except for visits, but it's sort of, I tell my grandson, who's living in Florida now, and I tell him that experience it, love your life,
Yeah.
but if things don't work out or you want to change or
Yeah.
something goes wrong, you have so many things to fall back on.
That's
you
true.
have your family.
Exactly.
And you don't have to worry because they'll always
Yeah,
get
that's
you.
true.
So, Brandon, if you're listening, take that advice.
He's heard it many times.
Yeah.
So we
Sure.
are some people have written us questions for you, and one of the questions is, what was it like to raise Samantha?
Well, when I first met Samantha, she was very quiet and very nice, and
Quiet?
still it took a while to get to know her. And I got involved with her when she was in elementary school. And then high school, we would drive down to Irvine to all the college nights and this and that. And I was so excited when you decided to go to San Diego State. You were going to have a out-of-town college experience
Yeah.
that I didn't have. And we were so excited and visiting you. And everything was,
It
there
was
were some
amazing.
problems, but you were great. There was no problem until you decided to transfer back to Long Beach State and live near us, and then we saw a lot of you, and that's when mother-daughter things
Yeah.
came in. But
So you never had kids? Was it like when? So you basically, a lot of parents out there, they marry in and they just get a
Yeah,
a
that's
kid.
true.
How did you feel? Did you feel like it took time to love me? I'm not saying to get, praise, but I'm just saying because, people, it takes
does
time.
take time.
It takes time.
It's not Hollywood. You don't have an instant family.
Yeah, that's
And
facts.
we started out slow. You would come up on Sundays.
Yeah.
And then when you were older, you would spend the weekends. And then we moved to the beach. So you would spend a lot of weekends
Yeah, I wanted to go to that beach for sure.
And there were clashes and yelling and screaming, but there were never any, I'm walking out or I can't handle this. It was always something that could be fixed.
Exactly.
And I think a big part of it was my husband, even though he was
The best
prejudiced
dad.
towards his daughter, he always did listen to my side.
Yeah.
So
that's important.
things did.
Yeah.
They always.
It was
always
great. It was
smoothed
great.
out.
We had a great time. But I think that what happened was once I had Nicole and Brandon, I mean, it was
Okay.
it was a whole different experience. I've never seen my dad and you get so involved with my kids. I've never been so appreciative in my entire life.
And-
they were very involved.
And it worked both ways. We loved every single minute of it. And nowadays, friends will say to me, "You're so lucky that you have a
Exactly.
good relationship with your
Yeah.
grandkids." I said, "We work so hard,
Yeah.
and Samantha worked so hard to involve us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we just wanted to be there."
That's so important. I want all the listeners to hear this because whatever kind of relationship you're having, whether it's your friends, whether it's your mom and
Yeah.
you have to work on it. You have to make calls.
Yeah.
Why do I call? I call friends from years ago because I want to make time. The one thing you always taught me is that no matter if you get married, you're, in a relationship, always keep your friends. And that's the best advice you've ever given me because I need to have my own time. And now we passed it down to Nicole
Yeah.
as well.
It's
So
been great.
and Brandon, really.
I mean,
Yeah.
I
You know?
I think the one thing that you guys always taught us was to be independent, have your own money, and
Keep
keep
your
your friends
women
close.
friends.
And it's
Yeah.
so true because I just went through a breakup and I'm fine because I have my friends and my family and I'm financially stable. So
It's
everything's
really
good.
nice to be financially stable, I have to
well,
say.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
you were financially stable.
I was.
Then
Yeah.
after I got divorced, I was like, no way. I have to keep my kids in this kind of environment. And listen, I mean, I did get alimony for a while, but I had to really bust my butt to be where I am today, and I'm one of the biggest staging companies, and it's all because I wanted you guys to do the same thing and be proud.
Yeah. I have a question, Mima. So what do you think the difference is between like when you were in your 20s and people are in their 20s today?
Well,
That's a great question.
I have to say, I mean, I would like to be younger now, maybe another 20 years younger, but I would not go through my 20s again now with social
Everyone's
media
shaking their
and
head.
everything. I know I
it's
always
tough.
kid around with Nicole and say, well, when I was your age, if I was waiting for a phone call, it was at night,
Right.
at home. End of story.
Right.
Not 24/7.
Yes.
Yeah.
And everybody taking pictures and cameras and phones and this. I mean, I just don't know how I would handle it. And I'm glad I don't have to. I'm in awe of you guys doing it, and it's wonderful. I think it's great. I can use the computer. I can use my iPhone.
That's another point. You're super good on the
Yeah,
computer.
but don't be fooled. Mima's sitting on Instagram.
Yeah,
Yeah.
She's
yeah.
texting us
She's
all the
watching
time.
everything, going, "Where are you
Yeah.
right now?" I mean, she's more computer savvy than I am. It's
Yeah.
really great. And let's talk about her book. She reads like 8,000,000 books a week, and in a book club.
Book club,
So
yeah.
it's really important, as we get older, in my age or her age or whoever, you continue to do the things that you
Yeah.
love to do. You continue to get out there. You continue to socialize. You continue to see your friends.
And work out. You still
Work out is
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
Like you just got a new trainer.
I've been training with him about a year. We work out 2 mornings a week, then 3 mornings a week I walk around the
And
marina.
how do you feel since the trainer?
I feel fabulous. I feel great.
I mean, you could definitely walk 12,000 steps.
Yeah,
I mean,
honestly,
Nicole was like
impressive.
driving me crazy
feet
in
were
Europe. Her feet were hurting. I was trying to help her, and Mima and Brandon were running off. I swear to God, I'm not even joking. And I was like,
Yeah.
I'm going to be like that.
Well, it's also, it's not only physical when you work out or any exercises, we all know. You just feel so much better mentally.
100%.
And the reading, I was always a voracious reader. And of course, when I was growing up, there wasn't that much to do. There were very few things on television, and you can play outside, and going to the library was a big thing. So I read a lot, but
you also watch Netflix.
yes, I stream a lot, and I also go to a lot of plays and theater and lectures and out to lunch. That's a big social thing. I do
Yeah.
lots of lunches with my friends.
I will bring Dad back in
Oh, sure.
because he was my rock. I really don't think I would be where I am today without him. He was always telling me I could do anything I wanted to do. If I had a bad day, what would he say? Tomorrow's another
better
day.
day.
And I was in sales. I started when cell phones first came out.
Right,
Remember?
yeah.
And you guys, I gave you guys the brick phones, and
It was this big.
but he was always there for me, and
Yes,
he
he
would
was.
be so proud of the grandmother that you are to Nicole and Brandon. I mean, people ask us all the time, like, how are they so close? You guys are always talking on the phone, giving advice. But the good thing about your personality is you say what you want, but you don't judge. I think that's the best way to put it.
100%.
What do you think?
I think Mima's just always there. Like I have a lot of other grandparents, right? Like there's a lot of them out there. But
Scattered
and whenever
all over.
anyone asks me like, "Who's your grandma?" It's just Mima. That's just my grandma because she's been there. You've always tried. You've always been there.
And does she, and
we
can
have
you
a
tell her
relationship
anything?
now. You know
We
what I
do.
mean? I think that's the difference between like grandparents who they just are a grandparent. We have like a friendship on top
Right.
of it. Like we can talk about things and we enjoy spending time together. And I think that's the biggest thing.
And I think that you learn that because I don't know, Brandon would be in an ambulance because he got hurt on his football game, and I would call from the ambulance, Mima, I'm in the ambulance. And she's like, you don't call me in the ambulance and scare me like this. But I always told you and Dad everything. And
Yeah.
I
And you
think,
still do.
yes, of course. I have to call and, oh my God, I had a high mark in cholesterol. I'm going to die. What am I going to do? And my kids do the same. And I think it's like so amazing to have like such a family bond. And trust me, we've been through a lot. As you guys know, as you
Yeah.
listeners know, it has not been easy, obviously, but there's always a silver lining. And if you do the work, what happens?
You're
It
free.
works. You
It
get
works.
there.
You get there, and it's been such an amazing time. And I have obviously been closer to you than my own mom. May she rest in peace. I'm sorry to say that, but it's true. And you were always there for me. And, when I decided to have kids, unfortunately, my mom decided to move to Tennessee. And I was like, shit, what am I going to do with these things? And you guys would,
We're there every
you were
weekend.
there.
These
You would
things.
come in the middle of the night. I'd call my dad. I'm like, I don't know what to do. She doesn't stop crying. He would come at 10 o'clock at night
Yeah.
to help me. So, it's just been such an amazing, and it's so nice to see a woman that's so classy
Yeah,
and
we've
a
learned a
mentor
lot.
to me that, has taught not only me and my kids, but so many of my friends, so many of the people that follow us. You're such an inspiration to, women, and we're just so proud of you.
Yeah.
Well, now I'm going to cry. That's so lovely to hear, and I just feel so wonderful. And as I said at the beginning, being here with my daughter and my granddaughter, and it just feels so life affirming and so wonderful. And my journey's not over. I mean, my mother lasted to 100. I'll probably surpass that.
You have to.
Yeah.
I don't have time for you to be sick. Nothing. I don't have any energy for that. So you've got to stay.
I've just got to, keep going. And the thing is, I'm not just going. I'm enjoying my life. And I'm
That
very
is
lucky.
the best sentence you said on this whole entire podcast.
I am. I'm enjoying my life. I love where I live. I love my family. I'm very lucky. All of my friends are retired, so we get to go places and do things.
Yeah.
And I'm lucky that I have a number of friends who are healthy and happy and running around doing things. And I have to keep up with everything because of my daughter and granddaughter. I can't show up looking messy or sloppy, so we know that.
And she's never done that in her entire life. Let's
never.
just get that straight right
I
now.
never even show up in sweats anymore because I'm like, oh, Mima's going to be dressed better than me.
Yeah, Mima is dressed to the nines
Always.
every single time.
Well,
Except
I
sometimes
did
she
grow
pulls
up in
her
New York.
aloe. You have your aloe sweats. that you
Oh
wear
yeah,
to
let's
sushi.
go. I know.
I know. One time I pulled up to meet Mima at sushi, and she's in aloe tracksuit, her Apple Watch on, and I'm like, okay, who is she?
Her blue hair,
Blue
her really
hair.
hot round
Prada
glasses.
sunglasses.
Oh yeah, when then
Mima's always styling.
she's styling. She just got a new pair of Prada glasses. She's always
And whenever
the
Mima takes
stylish
me shopping,
grandmother.
she's very honest about the outfit. She's like,
Oh, yeah.
no, we don't like that. We don't like that. I'm like, okay, so you're the only one who
I
tells me the
definitely
truth.
have my taste, but
Yeah.
I just tell you, and then I
love
say,
it.
if you're sure you can walk in those, you
That's
can
fine.
get them.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's one thing that happened as I got older. The heels got lower.
Yeah, they're getting lower for me already.
Yeah.
So, what is there anything you want to say about your grandkids, Brandon and Nicole, that you haven't already told them?
Other than that, they're best grandkids in the whole wide world. How much I love them. And not only how much I love them, but how very, very proud I am of both of them. They are just
Thank you.
amazing people. And when we went to Europe, the four of us, a
so
few
fun.
weeks ago, I came back telling my friends, the best part besides Milan and Paris was being with my family. I said, and the kids were so considerate and so lovely and so warm and so loving that it just, the trip, and Samantha kept saying, are you okay? Can you do this? And of course, I said, sure, of course I can. But it was just nice to know that everybody was looking out for me.
Yeah.
And because, I'm sort of spending my life looking out for you guys.
Yeah.
So it was nice.
And how about, so they go up and rest. We're at the trip and they go up and rest. And, Mima walks fast because she's from New York. But so Brandon and I drop off Mima and Nicole. And then he's like, okay, let's go find the sweater. So we start walking and he's walking like 100 miles an hour. I go, Brandon, I walk fast, but this is insane. I think he was so like, let's go, let's go, let's go. He did not want me to be slow at all. He wanted me to get that workout in for sure. It was fun though. It was like seriously the best trip. But I mean, the bummer part about the kids is they only got to see Papa until they were like 5, 6, 7,
no,
I'd say.
they were older.
7.
He's gone
10.
about 40. They were 10, 11.
And
11.
so
Yeah.
what would you say? I mean, it's important. I mean, I say things. I know you say things, but it's so important that they know. I mean,
Well, how did you and Papa meet?
Well, that was
I love
interesting.
the story.
We met on a Jewish singles weekend,
I love that.
which sounds really strange.
not really. It's like the dating back then.
Well,
That's how they
this
didn't have
was-
They need to bring that
phones.
back.
A
Yeah.
friend of mine was a part of the group that had been in LA for about 2 years ago. And he told me about it, and I applied with some of my friends. And it was a weekend where you were stuck in a hotel, and then they had different groups, and you broke up into big groups and little groups. And I don't know, Herb and I always seemed to be looking at each other. It was
Nice.
like we found each other. And he was one of the facilitators, so he would call every morning to wake me up, and we'd kid around, but there was something there. But as I found out later, he was dating someone at the time, and then I met someone on that weekend, and it wasn't for about, 6 or 8 months later.
Yeah.
We were at a party of that group, and we started really talking, and we started dating then. And his sister and her husband also met at Jewish
At the-
Singles
Yep,
Encounter.
crazy.
So it was a
Exactly.
big family.
They need to bring that back for you guys. I mean, honestly, it's like it's so much easier when it's
And how did-
meet in person.
And how did you know Papa was the one you were gonna spend your life with?
I didn't at the time, but we started going out, and
And he's so different from
he
you.
he was
Yeah, you
so
guys are very
different from the
different.
men that I had been dating. But I know people say this, but I mean it. We laughed and laughed and laughed. We made each other laugh, and we complimented each other's, his sort of off in the world kind of thing, and my down to earth teacher, this. But the more time we spent together, and we came from very similar backgrounds.
Was
he was
great.
also born in Brooklyn, and the backgrounds were similar. Our parents came from similar backgrounds, so a lot of the cultural things were the same. And I liked his friends, and he liked my friends, and I don't know. We just then eventually we were exclusive, and then eventually we moved in together, but we lived together for 4 years before we got married.
Oh, wow.
Well, that's
smart.
a lot of people don't do that.
Yeah.
But I think really one of the things that you used to always say to me is the backgrounds. I can see that because, when you have different backgrounds, it is a challenge. You have to understand their side.
Right.
I have to, vice versa. And the one thing I can remember the most is Dad was like that. He was like, I would be so stressed, and he would calm me down, and he was fun. He was fun. Everyone loved my dad. Everyone loved my dad.
Yes.
And you were so perfect. You're like the perfect person. I would always say, why is she so perfect? Even like when you do diets, it pisses me off. She'll lose weight because she decides she's
Sticks
going to
to a
lose
plan,
weight.
yeah.
And I'm like, no, I only lost 2 pounds because I'm cheating on my diet and she's not.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, but it's just so amazing to see where you've come and since I met you, really.
Yeah.
And, how you've shaped this family and helped us so much, really.
Well, that works both ways. I mean, you guys have given me so much. I mean, all of my friends are envious. I mean that I have such a relationship with you and Nicole and Brandon. And when I said, I'm going to Europe with my daughter and my grandkids, people looked at me like, really? I said, yeah, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
And it was.
Yeah, it's fun.
It was a
Until you
fabulous-
made us go to what was that?
The opera?
The opera, and
Yeah.
Nicole and Brandon fell asleep. I'm like praying, please
Well,
God, let her.
it wasn't the
a cool
opera. It was
experience.
La Scala
Yeah.
in Milan.
It was-
and I thought
loved it.
everybody should
And
you were right.
experience
It was
La
abs-
It was
Scala.
beautiful.
It was beautiful.
I just didn't know what they were
As
saying.
a stager and a designer, I was
was a
in
beautiful
awe.
place,
It was an
yeah.
awe, and I love to get dressed up.
I
So
don't know why
that
it's
was
so
super
long,
fun.
but that's
But I
fine.
was like, oh my God, I cannot hear
It
them
didn't need to be
scream.
that long.
No,
I don't
But
hell
it
no.
wasn't
okay.
just an opera. It was La
Scala.
Scala in
La Scala,
Milan. I
yeah.
mean, how could you pass that up?
It was very, very cool.
you
Yeah.
know? So that was fun. That was
Yeah.
we did, but what Brandon and Nicole were most impressed with was look how dressed up everybody is.
Oh, yeah.
I
it
know.
was-
We're
it was
used
really
to Los
impressive,
Angeles, where
I mean,
you
that's
know,
what I like about travel. Like
Yeah.
we were in Milan,
different
and
cultures.
everyone's dressed up.
Oh,
Everyone's dressed up
Yeah.
going to work. Like in
I mean,
LA,
it's honestly,
it's not like
beautiful.
that.
Everything's beautiful there.
Right.
It's so nice to see. Here, I feel like everyone just wears sweats and like
Well, it's because they do.
I mean,
like leggings, and it's like.
But you'd be
whatever.
surprised. When I went to North Carolina, I was shocked. At 12 o'clock, I was having lunch outside the center, and all these people came out of the buildings. They were coming out for lunch
Yeah.
because they all work in the buildings.
That's nice.
I was like, wow, that's really cool.
People work.
people are working in LA with the traffic. You think
No one
doesn't
works.
anybody work?
Yeah.
Literally. Yeah, it's crazy.
But LA is a fabulous place to live, but
Yeah.
it is fabulous to travel and see the world and to go with people you love, because then you see it through their eyes too.
That's
You
true.
know, not just your own.
That's a
you know.
great point. That's
Yeah.
actually a really good point.
So, what was it like growing up in Brooklyn?
It was great, you know. Somebody once gave me a book about the Brooklyn years, and they said it started after World War II,
Right.
and it went until the Dodgers left in the late
wow.
50s, you know, called like a quiet time. It was a fabulous time to grow up. I was living in, I guess you could call it a sort of middle class neighborhood. We walked to school. Of course, nobody's parents drove you.
And I
to
remember
school.
Papa did stickball in the
Yeah,
streets.
we did stickball in the street, and we had lots of friends, and we came home from school, and we played
And
in
when
the
you
street.
sit outside on the street,
We were
on the sidewalk?
outside playing, and during the summer, we were outside all night. And I don't know. In fact, I still have some friends from my elementary school that live out in L.A., and we
That's so
get together
impressive.
every month.
Can you
or so.
imagine?
Yeah,
From
it's
elementary
amazing.
school, she still has dinner with
we've
them.
known each other since we were 6.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I mean, it's really something. And Brooklyn was a quiet time then, and it was a safe time. And I was independent. My mother was very independent. She went back to work when I was in the 3rd grade, and I was able to wander the city. I was riding the subway with my friends when I was 10 years old.
Wow,
And going all
that's
over
amazing.
Brooklyn and Manhattan. And
Yeah.
my parents didn't worry about it.
Yeah.
And I had my older sister, but she was busy doing her thing. And all
It's
of us,
such
it
a
wasn't
different time.
unusual to
Yeah.
get on the subway.
Wow.
In fact, years later, when I was teaching in New York, we took field trips every week. The kids would bring money to get on the bus or the subway, and we would go to every museum and park in New
wow.
York because it was just a subway ride away.
Yeah.
And it made me very, very independent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I was wondering why you were always so independent. Yeah.
It was a
different
I was
time,
on
though.
my own. I mean, I
since
was
she was
being
10.
watched,
Yeah.
but I had a lot
Like,
of freedom.
parents
and it
would
wasn't
not do
just
that
me. It was,
Yeah.
all the kids growing up. At
Yeah,
that
but you
time.
could never do that in Los Angeles now.
Well,
Kids
it's
at
it's
10
a
years.
whole
different
different
time.
life.
Yeah.
You can't
Yeah.
just walk
Right.
to the corner and hop on a bus and
Right.
go to your
That's
school.
true.
You know, and
It is a much simpler time, easier time. Just think, you could make that guy wait until 5
Right.
o'clock to call him back. But now you have to text him right back or he gets upset.
You know. No,
So-
it was a much simpler time. It was a safer time, not just in Brooklyn, but I think the whole United States.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, Brooklyn sort of, as the book had, the Dodgers left. I've never forgiven them. My grandson keeps saying it's time to let go. But I have never forgiven them for leaving
funny.
Brooklyn.
Oh. Well, this has been amazing, Mima. I mean, it's just an incredible experience we've had with you. And honestly, I appreciate everything you've done for all of us.
Well, I can't tell you guys how much I appreciate hearing that, but as I said before, it works both ways,
Yeah, and it's really important that everyone knows, like, after my dad died, it was a lot of stepmoms would disappear, and you took that on 180,000%. And my kids really are so grateful.
You
I
were my
know.
family, and I
And we're so happy for proud
And
of
we
you.
love you so much.
Yes.
love you guys so
Yay!
much. Okay, you can stop crying now.
I love you, Mima.
I love you, sweetheart.
And that's it, guys. You have heard it on The Power of We. Check us out at The Power of We Official on Instagram. And we will soon have a new podcast studio. We'll let you know when that comes out. But everyone, have an amazing week.